analysis, lakefront development and remediation, development of MOOCs, accreditation, academic quality framework, and academic auditing. Learning spaces, blended approach, active and experiential learning, sustainable development and education, urban environment management and smart city, solid hazardous waste management, and landfill engineering and life cycle assessment and sustainable construction materials. His research and training program is funded by the ITEC, DST, World Bank, MEA, MOE, PWD, and several prominent state governments and industries. His research includes laboratory studies, field experiments, and computer modeling, ultimately leading to fundamental advances and practical solutions to the real-world problems. He published around 45 research articles in international and national journals and conferences. He has been granted a patent by GOI towards manufacturing artificial aggregate from waste. He has coordinated more than 23 international training programs and trained around 400 international delegates from 68 different countries across the globe. He has coordinated more than 200 training programs and trained more than 15,000 participants. He has developed and offered 6 MOOCs with registration of more than 30,000. He is serving as a reviewer for various journals and international conferences. He has received fellowships and awards like NSF grant to attend workshop at Virginia Technology USA, CPSC Singapore Cooperation Program Award, UNESCO IIOE Special Prize Award for Online Verification, Online Video Competition, and UNESCO invited to the Asia Pacific Regional Seminar on MOOCs for higher education, and he got the Young Engineer Award provided by the Institution of Engineers India, an American Society of Civil Engineering Illinois section granted the Geotechnical Award and Swiss Federal Institute of Technology Fellowship. He awarded doctoral fellowship by University of Illinois. He served as member in the National Committee setting of Virtual University, MOE, GOI, Pedagogy and Scheduling, MOE, GOI, UGC Selection, and empanelment of video producers, AACT NEAT, AACT Scrutiny Committee, AACT VANI, AACT NITT. He is a member of American Society of Engineering Education, American Society of Civil Engineers, International Water Association, Indian Society of Technical Education, Indian Society for Training and Development, Indian Geotechnical Society, National Solid Waste Association of India, Institution of Engineers. His doctoral research is from University of Illinois, USA, and bachelor's and master's degree from College of Engineering, Guindy, Anna University, India. He extensively traveled within and abroad for technical lectures through USA, Germany, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia. Now I hand over the session to Dr. Janathan, sir. Welcome you, sir.
Sir, your mic is muted, sir.
Okay.
Please unmute.
Thank you. Sometimes in the online session, whether the audience only have to be a good guide, because we presume things are in order and we will deliver the lecture. Sometimes it may not be in order. Okay. It's my pleasure to be a part with Velammal Group in delivering a lecture on CO-PO mapping and attainment. And this is a part of the session which as a part of the international training workshop which they have slated during this week. And now I am just going to handle some lectures on CO-PO mapping once again, because this original session was actually at 11 o'clock. So I was thinking, okay, let me take it and do this thing. Now suddenly, Madam told it is the session, but it's good because it's always O.B.E mapping. We are no need to worry about the content because we are handling for several years. And quickly, I will hand over the sessions because
Thank you, sir. Thanks for accepting.
no
We should
problem.
really.
Okay, it is not shared. Okay, once again because I'm just checking the slides because once again, where is the sharing? Okay, sharing. Yes, not, where is the tab? Okay, let me share the entire screen for the time being. Okay, let me start the session of COPO mapping. So, why we need to have the COPO attainment? What is necessary for COPO attainment? And this training program basically revolves around outcome-based education, or what we call it as the current mode of education system which exists in India. I just need a few reflection from the audience. What exactly you mean by outcome-based education, sir? Either you can put it in the chat box or you can tell orally, whichever it's convenient to you. But before starting the session, I just wish to know what exactly you mean by outcome-based education, sir. Okay, someone has put something in the chat box. Student focused. Ganesh Kumar has told it's a student focused. Fantastic, fantastic. Then it's a students focused. Good. Then it's a students focused. Then where quantum of learning can be assessed. Okay, perfect, perfect. Then measurable
What,
outcome.
I'm not getting what you want to say.
A student should do what he has learned in a program. Okay, John. Quality outcomes, Sharmugalata. Okay, perfect, 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 perfect. Any other thing? What student to be after graduation? Teddy Vistas told what student should be after the graduation. Okay, fantastic. That might also be possible. Okay, good, 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 good. Very good, very good. Let me just check it. Let me just check it. Because we should know what exactly it is. I mean, a takeaway from the graduation. Okay, takeaway. Anything is takeaway, it should be there. Okay, takeaway from graduation. Obviously, it should be the takeaway. We should know what is the takeaway. Good, sir. Good, good, good. Well, let us see. Let us see. Let us just get it from the participants. Then I will try to put my views or thought process of what exactly you mean by the outcome-based education. Why it has to start and what is the view of outcome-based education. Let me just check it. Let me just check it. Okay. Okay. The people have told enormous things. Let me just check into the chat box. Clearly, let us summarize before going into the this thing. What our friends have told in clearly. Okay. So, student focused. Ganesh Kumar has started with the terminology. It should be student focused. Okay. Why suddenly in outcome-based education we have to focus on students? In previous education, are we not focused on students? Always our client, our end users are the people who are going to get benefited are the students. So any education system, it has to be student focused. It is not a question of outcome based education. Any education system, the focus should be on the student. That should be the major focus. The student should be the predominant focus for any education system. Okay. And our people have told how the quantum of learning is assessed, because a successful learning teaching is nothing but how it has to be measured, because if you are not going to measure the learning, it is not going to create an impact. So it is successful depends upon how you are going to measure the items. Okay, perfect. It has a lifelong impact. Okay, anything is lifelong impact, but sometimes we wonder whether are we giving too much emphasis on impacts, the terminology, because it was very simple. Normally, previously also we had an accreditation system where we were trying to work on the learning and we used to focus. But why is all of a sudden there is too much emphasis on the outcomes and everything? Okay, where it has lifelong impact, measuring on the impact of learning. Outcome-based education helps students to know in their own way. It is a methodology which helps teachers to teach students with a student-centric approach. Okay, earlier we used to do without documentation. Now they are measuring. Okay. Previously they were told that third eye is watching. We believe third eye is God. Now third eye is a camera is watching everywhere. Okay. We made the conscious of approaches. Okay, that is good also. Okay, let me quickly put it, sir. What exactly you mean by outcome-based education? And what sort of education system exists in India? Aligning education with desired skills and knowledge. So this is too much terminology-oriented approach, sir. To be frank, if you see the genesis of outcome-based education, if you observe the genesis of outcome-based education, one second, I put it in silence, sir. There is call from director office. One second.
Sorry, you are in mute, sir.
Sir, please unmute.
Okay. 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 So in this lecture, content expressed are purely my technical perspective. It does not represent the organization with which I am affiliated. Okay, let me start. What exactly we mean by outcome-based education, sir? Why we need to know about the outcome-based education? In India, all of a sudden, for the past 10 years, the terminology of outcome-based education, it is creating a ripple effect or some kind of a turmoil in the educational ecosystem. What exactly we mean by outcome-based education? Why we need to go for outcome-based education system? If you observe in India, predominantly what sort of education system it exists, in a jocular manner, the people will tell it is an income-based education system. If your income is good, education system is good. If your income is not proper, you may not have access to the good education. That is one notion the people are having. Because we always believe the free education or the education in a subsidized manner, it is not a quality education. That is a mindset which the people are having. So to get rid of this mindset, to make it everything feel uniformly, any education system should come in certain framework. If it comes in a framework, whether it is a government or it is a private or it is a public or is it a private, the system should exist uniform to everyone. There is no diplomatic immunity to the any educational institution. Previously, without accreditation, without tracking concept, the people are having very wonderful advantage. The government institutes can participate everything. Now everyone will be treated at par, and they have to work in a synchronized manner aligned with the goals and ambitions. Goals and the ambitions of the system. That is the item, sir, which you should remember. So let me put it, outcome-based education, it all started with the launch of a satellite Sputnik by Russians. Professor Spady, who was termed as a father of outcome-based education, he clearly tells the fundamental definition of outcome-based education is learning is fixed, learning time varies. Learning is fixed, learning time varies. What exactly we mean by learning is fixed? Let me presume this is the outcome based. Learning is fixed. I am fixing a line. This is the learning curve which everyone should come touch when they want to graduate with the B.Tech degree. Because when they want to do a B.Tech degree, the max minimum number of credit which the student should possess is 160 credits in the case of Indian universities, 160 to 170. If you see US, we have 120 to 130. So that is about 160 to 170, 120 to 130. So we talk in terms of credits, but the credits are associated with some measurable outcomes. Measurable outcome. I'm using the terminology measurable because when you tell something outcome, it has to be measured uniformly by everyone. Suppose if I am telling this is a mobile phone, what is the length of the mobile phone? It all depends upon the instrument which I am using to measure the mobile phone. For example, if I have a scale which is of a centimeter, then that units which comes are going to be in centimeter. If it is going to be in feet, it's going to be in inches and feet. Suppose if the scale measuring tool itself is having error, obviously the measurement is going to have an error. So it all depends upon the assessment what we have and or the measuring tool which we use for assessment. Measuring tool which we use for assessment. So it has to be measurable. The measurable has to be uniform by everyone. Or it has to follow a framework which has to be followed universally by everyone. So one such framework is a Washington Accord. In that accord, we use the terminology complex, complex, complex. If you see all the graduate attributes, the terminology complex, complex, complex has been fixed. What exactly we mean by complex? Why the terminology complex has to be there? Then accordingly, I will go with the COPO mapping set. So if you observe the outcome-based education, learning is fixed, learning time varies. Learning is fixed, learning time varies. Where the measurement, what is the thing which is to be measured, it has to be given. For example, if you presume these pencils are different types of students, this pencil will take lesser time to reach this minimum fixed, and this pencil will take still lesser time, and this will take more time. But the individual difference are getting acknowledged. The personalized learning has been made in the case of outcome-based education. And some pencils are surpassing the minimum requirement. Some pencils are surpassing the minimum requirement. So not is a big goal. So what exactly you mean by outcome-based education is learning is fixed, learning time varies. Learning is fixed, learning time varies. So how we have to operate on learning fixed and learning time varies is the fundamental equation, how it operates. So the Spady has told learning is fixed, learning time varies. So if we observe the learning is fixed and learning time varies, so the individual difference need to take into account. So with this premise, I'm just starting what is course outcomes and program outcome. So let us together have a view on program outcome and a course outcome. What exactly we mean by program outcome? What exactly we mean by course outcomes? The program outcomes at the end of the program, what the students are going to achieve, what the students are going to complete it it is a program outcome. And at the end of the course, what outcomes you emphasize, that has been course outcome. So if you have observed in outcome-based education, there is no question of are you qualified. There is no question of are you qualified, because in outcome-based education, all are qualified. All are qualified because learning is fixed. Learning time varies. The learning is fixed, learning time varies. So the outcome is fixed. I might take 4 years, I might take 3 years, I might take 5 years. So minimum and maximum. So some people are telling the students have been given options, everything. In every system, previously we had output based education system. In that also it has been quantified. It has been quantified. It has been quantified and it has been made into measurable. So in such situation, in outcome-based education, there is no question of are you qualified. In outcome-based education, all are qualified. All are qualified. When it comes to all are qualified, how we have to take into consideration all are qualified. So what are the aspects which you have to take it and how we have to take into consideration? All are qualified or are you qualified? In outcome-based education, generally your coordinators might have told you a vision and mission is the first. Then comes a program educational objectives. Then comes a program outcome. Then comes a learning outcome or course outcome. So now you have to see the terminologies are well versed and defined. It is the terminology outcomes. Here we call objectives. So the outcomes and objectives are not one and the same. There is a subtle difference between objectives and outcomes. They are not one and the same. So why we should call program educational objectives? Why we have to call program outcomes? Why there has to be difference? Program educational objectives we are calling, and sometimes we are calling program outcome. Why there has to be difference, sir? It could also be program educational outcome, no? Why they kept program educational objectives? Why they kept program educational outcome? Why there has to be difference, sir? It is a combination of practical fundamental reflection. Any content has to be with the practical, because learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is a product of the activity of the learner. Sir. Learning is a product of the activity of the learner. If you are not going to have activity, if you are not going to have a reflection, learning is not going to take place, because we had a myth. Now that is the reason we are calling in terms of a decolonization of a curriculum. If you observe the Russians' concept of outcome-based education, which the US people have adopted, Russians started with the Germany, and Germany started with our own Gurukula system. If you go the roots, if you see, it is nothing but the learners comes to the phase, they all join in the school, but they never graduate at the same time. It depends upon the capability of the individual, the graduation pattern changes. And based on each individual aspect, the learning path is also different. The learning path is not going to same. The learning graduation time is not going to same. It all depends upon, that's the way the system goes. US to Russia, Russia to Germany, Germany to Gurukula system. So this is the way the system goes. That's one school of thought. And now the question is, what I have asked is, why there has to be two different terminology, program educational objectives and program outcomes. What is the difference between objectives and outcomes? What is the difference there?
Okay. The screen, actually, the PPT what you're sharing is not visible
No, I'm not.
clearly. The screen is visible actually.
Yes, I'm not sharing the screen. I'm just asking a question now.
Okay, fine. Sorry. Fine, sorry.
So, what exactly you mean by program educational objectives, and why there has to be two different terminology? Program educational objectives and program outcomes. Why there has to be two terminology? Program educational objectives and program outcome.
Sir, objective determines the purpose of the program, sir.
Okay.
For what purpose the program has been designed or made. But
Okay.
the outcomes, what they are supposed to do after that program.
Okay, what supposed to do? Okay, what objectives? So objectives. Then why they should have used the term goal? No, why they should use objectives? What you're telling? What was the intention of that program? Then it should have been a goal, or no? They never use the terminology goal. They use the terminology objectives. No.
So it falls under the timeline, sir. If it is for a long period, it may
Okay.
be objective, and for a shorter period, it should be goal.
Okay. It is a longer period means subjective, shorter period goal. Maybe we can decode it in a different manner. Good, good, very good, sir. Very good, John.
Sir, the program educational objectives is all about the long term, in which it will take few years after the
Okay.
graduation in assessing the students. But when you're talking about program outcomes, it is all about short term, which is after the graduation, the knowledge and skill what student is earning out of the particular
Okay.
program.
Okay. 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 Awesome. 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 But if you see because this program educational objectives or outcomes, it all came after 2014. Before that, we didn't have a objectives and outcome approach. We had a different approach. If you observe, look into the term objective. Objective is what I envisage the student should do, but doesn't mean that it should be done at the immediately end of the day. It takes time, 3 to 5 years, as you are mentioning in the accreditation document. It's 3 to 5 years. So I expect, for example, as a doctor, I need to teach you how to use stethoscope. Okay, that is my objective. But outcome is the student should be in a position to identify normal and abnormal heartbeat. Or outcome is what I measure from the people. My objective is the student should drive the car in a perfect manner by following the road rules. Outcome is he should drive without making accidents, everything in terms of measurable. If he is driving without accidents, if his insurance premium while not violating the traffic rule, those are all outcomes. My objectives I envisage this has to be there. Any program, especially educational programs, will have some objectives at the end. That's the terminology. If you observe in PEOs, we never use the word students, we use the word graduates. Whereas program outcome, we use the word students because the students have to possess certain attributes. Program educational objective is after few to 3 to 5 years. My Kabasura Kudinir, which I am giving, it should cure the diseases. Okay, program outcomes based on some attributes what we are going to have. And even if you see in 2012, we never had a terminology. Program specific outcome was not there. Only program outcome was there. The outcomes are structured based on graduate attributes. Based on graduate attributes, you kept it, and PSO was not at all there. After 2013, only the 14, the term concept of PSO started coming, because previously when we were doing 1:1, 1:many were the mapping concepts we were using in 2012-13 when we did for Kerala, and some states when we did for a PO mapping. We do 1:1 or 1:2 with graduate attributes. After 2014, the government came out with a very good concept. It is 1:1. Each POs are mapped with some graduate attributes. Suddenly they use the terminology PSO, program specific outcome. What do we mean by program specific outcome? It is structured to the specific college because it is put it in analogy. Generally, I call it an analogy, Sambar analogy. So let me focus. This is the long term and the short term. Program educational objective is what you envisage the graduate should be. They should be an entrepreneur, they should be an academicians, or they should be an consulting engineers or a field practitioner, something. Program outcome and the end of the thing when they're going into, because after 5 years they are going to, at the end of the program, I want my students as to be a civil engineer, perfect civil engineer. These are the attributes which they should possess, These program outcomes are structured based on graduate attributes. For example, let me take an example of sambar. Sambar, what are the ingredients which sambar contains? It contains tur dal, it contains water, it contains turmeric, it contains sambar powder, tamarind, some vegetables. So what are the ingredients? We call it as a graduate attributes. And the sambar is the program outcome. But why suddenly the terminology PSO comes? Everyone keeps sambar. Doesn't mean that all the sambar are look alike. You remember? Each sambar, even though the ingredients are same, some ingredients plays an important role, signature role to make your sambar is different from other sambars. For example, in Coimbatore, that Annapurna sambar is different, whereas other hotel sambars are different. If you take even in Madurai, the different varieties of Meenakshi Bhavan sambar is different when compared to other sambar. But if you see the state-wise, Tamil Nadu sambar is entirely different when compared to Karnataka. Karnataka jaggery will be there. If you add to Kerala, it is watery, but coconut oil will be there. If you go to Andhra, its chili powder might be more. So the PSO differentiates, even though you are producing a civil engineer or computer science engineer, what way your computer science engineer, what way your civil engineers are uniquely structured when compared to other institutions. That is what PSO says. PO and PSO, we should know the fundamentals. Based on the POs, we are going to structure our COs. We are going to structure our COs. That is what the fundamental we should remember. So the POs are 12 in number because the graduate attributes are 12 in number. The 5 graduate attributes are related to the technical competency. We call it as a technical competency. And remaining 7 graduate attributes are related to professional competency. Professional competency. Professional competency. What are the technical competency? What are the professional competency? Why we should know all those things? We just know one by one. Then accordingly, I will teach you the mapping. Very simple manner, sir. So this is all upon subject completion, graduation, few years graduation. And OBE, outcome-based education, goes into outcome-based curriculum. Outcome-based curriculum goes into outcome-based teaching learning. Outcome-based teaching learning goes to the outcome-based assessment. As I told you, that what the student should achieve, we forecast. My graduate should possess a knowledge, because last week the same time I was at Virginia Tech. We were discussing about professional ethics in we had a collaborative projects. So when we discussed, what we wondered is we do some longitudinal study, longitudinal cross-sectional studies we do. We take a students, we observe for 6 years, 5 years, how they perform everything. So what the student should achieve, that is matter. But how to make the students achieve the outcome for curriculum matters. Because last week I was in Anna University for curriculum revision. And VC was telling everything. I told it's good. We are putting everything in the curriculum document. Syllabus, if you see, everything we put it. But syllabus doesn't make the things. It is how you are going to structure your curriculum matters things. What is the difference? Then one of the committee member was asking in the analyst. I told it is like Vadivel in comedy. He will go to a hotel and he will tell what way the uttapam has to be made. He will tell onion has to be put, chili powder has to be put. You put 8 flowers, 8 rounds of ghee inside and outside. Everything he will tell. But finally, that guy, the chef, the server, he will tell to the master, one uttapam, please. You remember? He was explaining in our syllabus when we are framing, we want to put A, ML, all different genre of languages we use. But finally, the teacher who is going to convey the syllabus, if he tells Annanaku or uttapam, then everything is got. You remember? So no point in conducting the syllabus meeting and curriculum meeting unless the curriculums are structured. You know, that's why in US, if you observe the syllabus is not so strong, the curriculum is very strong. So as I told you in the beginning, learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of the activity of learners. Because I was a faculty in College of Engineering Gindi. When I was a faculty at College of Engineering Gindi, the soil mechanics subjects which I handled, it was very huge sample. Till today, the syllabus is same. What I studied in 1996 till 2024, the syllabus has not changed in Anna University, College of Engineering Gindi. I was a faculty there itself. I was wondering that. But when I went to US, the syllabus is different. But the way in which they can deliver the content was different. So I was telling to one of the joint secretary in one of the meeting, in India, we teach more. The students will learn less. In US, they teach less, but make the students more in terms of activities. Even the laboratory experiment will have a different approaches. Assessment itself a different approach. I never seen such laboratory examination in India. So I'll tell you, when University of Illinois, when I went for PhD at the time, I have seen laboratory examination, such a big book they keep it. I was wondering why the laboratory books it's in India lottery system. You remember we keep upside down. One small slip will be there. What is the experiment comes, you do it. If you are master in experiment, you are declared as a perfect. But if you doesn't know the experiment, you are failed. You remember, you might have studied all the experiment, only one experiment you might have forgotten to study, or you thought it will not come because of the some information. But that is not there, because then we found it is not a question of method, syllabus matters, it's a question of teaching learning. That is the reason curriculum and learning, teaching learning matters a lot. And finally, it is have to be assured. For example, generally I go for an MBA as an evaluator, because that should be go for an NABL as assessor, MBA as an evaluator, and also I go for academic auditing and IQAC auditor for different universities, even north, south, everywhere, wherever they invite we go. So if you observe the tier, the people will focus too much of points are there in curriculum, sir. And I will tell you frankly, sir, as assessor, evaluator, when we go, it is not the question of if you go, it is 100, 120 points of curriculum, everything, course outcomes on 75, 120 points. But we have to remember, as any evaluator who goes for NBA, they know they look into only two criteria, criteria 4 and criteria 5. If the criteria 4 and 5 is quantitatively perfect, then only the assessment for other these two things it goes. So this is the way that structure. It's a 4 and 5 that matters a lot rather than the 2 and 3. But 2 and 3 plays an important role for 4 and 5. But based on the 4 and 5 score, we can decode how the 2 and 3 is there. That is also there. Generally, we focus on 4 and 5. Okay. Yes, Anand Kumar, sir. Anand Kumar Chaudhary. Bolo, sir. Doubt. You are raising hand. You are raised hand accidentally, or if you want, you can ask now, or it will be good if you can ask at the end. No. What happened? He's with the raising hand symbol. Anand Kumar Chaudhary, why you are playing?
There is about some technical errors.
That is
Anand, sir.
Maybe technical error. Maybe he kept the mobile phone in the mobile phone.
There is some technical errors, sir.
No problem, no problem. Sometimes it's always good to say, it's a medical miracle, but a technical error in online learning, it's always good. Okay. So we have to see the course outcomes and program outcomes are 175 and 120. Even though they have a second largest score in tier 1 and tier 2, we will just discuss one by one quickly, sir. And this part you guys be knowing, so I'm just not focusing on this part. I will just go directly to the COPU attainment. In COPU attainment, we should know why the attainment calculation is important. For example, if you observe, I taught Stripe how to whistle. Maybe two friends are speaking. This is a dog name is Stripe. He's telling this to his friend John and Lee. Let us keep two people. I taught Stripe how to whistle, and then he's telling, I don't hear him whistling. But he told, I said I taught him. I didn't say he learned it. You remember, teaching is different, assessment is different. So it is not the question of, it is assessment that distinguish between the teaching and learning. So that is the reason the POCO attainment matters a lot. You might tell this is my level of attainment, because in SDG goals, previously when it was a Millennium Development Goal, it is $1 for a poverty. Then it became $1.25. Now it is $1.90. If you want to declare a country, individual economy before poverty, that is the reason it operates. But it has to be assessment which matters a lot, sir. Assessment that matters a lot, and how that helps you to distinguish between the teaching and learning. So what are the ways and means which you can do? If you see, there are 12 graduate attributes are there. First of all, what subject you are studying? Your subject engineering. So what is the first graduate should be there? A knowledge about the subject. Engineering knowledge. That is the first engineering knowledge. Second, with that engineering knowledge, what you will be doing? You are having a knowledge. A knowledge, when it's not put into use, it's not going to be useful. So you have to remember, first you should have a knowledge about the subject. That knowledge should facilitate you to analyze the problem. Because obviously, any situation, there will be a problem and decision making is needed. Any situation. Today morning when I opened my wardrobe, I have to make a decision making. I have to do analysis with my mind. Whether today can I wear a white shirt or a blue shirt, or a green shirt or a yellow shirt. Today when I'm family people today Italy, whether I have to make a white chutney or a green chutney or a red chutney, whatever be the chutney. Because these days white, green and red, it's for kids, they use the terminology. For us, we know it's a groundnut, or it is a coconut, or it is a mint, or it is a tomato. So it is a problem analysis. The first and foremost attribute is you have to have the knowledge. This knowledge should facilitate you to analyze the problem. This problem analysis should provide you a venue to design and develop a solution. Because I had a problem. I analyzed. But analysis of the problem doesn't stop there. You have to provide some design and development of a solution. All design and development of a solution alone, it not matters, because sometimes some complex problem also comes into complex issues also comes. Today I want to make a white chutney, but some relatives came, for them a diabetic is an issue, so they cannot take coconut. So that, but kid needs a white chutney. But then how I have to make a balance? Either I have to add more pottukadalai, or I have to make a groundnut chutney in a white color with less this thing. So conduct investigation of that. But for this thing, I can use a modern tool to make a chutney. It doesn't mean that I have to always use ammi. I can use mixie. That is a modern tool. Similarly, to solve all this engineering problem, doesn't need to be have only a mini drafter or mathematical calculation. I can use technical software. That is a modern tool usage. Modern tool usage. These 5 attributes are known as technical attributes, which is very, very important, related to the subject specific. First, I should have the knowledge. With the knowledge, I should analyze the problem. Not only I should analyze the problem, I should be in a position to design and develop a solution. Design and develop a solution should lead to sometimes look into the problem, complex problems, conduct investigation of complex problems. Then comes the modern tool usage. Modern tool usage. These 5 are specific to the branches, specific to the content what you are studying, technical competency. It doesn't matter, stops with this. There are 7 more graduate attributes which makes you an engineer. Tur dal is there, water is there, turmeric is there, sambar powder is there. But there are other attributes, how you cook, how you love a passion of cooking, how you cut the vegetables in cooking, you remember? So those things that matter. How the approach you make it, that matters a lot. It is the knowledge of cooking matters, but the passion of how you make the content into wonderful sambar, that matters a lot. You remember? So these 5 graduate attributes coupled with other things. What are the other things? Engineer and society, the 6th graduate attributes. So engineer and the society. Then comes environment and sustainability. Environment and sustainability. Environment and sustainability. As a focus of environment and sustainability, Shivabalan sir, thank you. I don't know, Shivabalan sir was making a claps and art symbol. Maybe he was, maybe guys on the feedback he is appreciating, or he is trying the icons also. I don't know, but it is good. So second is engineer and society. Then comes environment and sustainability. I will tell you for each graduate attribute some stories. I will try to tell you, because ethics matters a lot. Ethics matters a lot. Then comes based on ethics, you should know how to work individually as a teamwork. Because in University of Illinois, when I observed laboratory, the students has to bring a bucket of sample and they will be doing a geotechnical experiment. Here for liquid limit, we will give samples, plastic limit, we give a sample, proctor, we will give the sample. So they do the sample in an isolated manner, then they try to compare the thing. But that is not there, because they have to do one sample, they have to do with same sample, they have to do all the experiments, and they have to prepare a combined report. Its approach itself is different. And that they should not do it alone, they have to do it as a teamwork. Because in any ecosystem, sometimes I feel this individual teamwork matters a lot. Yesterday, we had a meeting with L&T officials. So for some, I was being asked to attend the meeting, because since I have a portfolio of a team, sometimes we have to attend certain meetings. We were attending. So one of the official was telling, it is the people needs isolated knowledge. Isolated, they want to learn. I told that should not be approach. You remember, if you think everyone should be good in the society, that is not possible. If everyone is bad in the society, also not possible. It is always mix of this thing, sir. If you want to have a deer alone, my world has to be only with the deer. Because in our institute, lot of deers will be there. 8, 6, good amount of deers are jumping here, and then you can observe. It will be good. It's a stress buster actually. So if you see only the deer has to be there, then you cannot enjoy. Only elephant has to be there. Only a lion has to be there. Then it means they are in the cage. They are in the zoo or some enclosure. If you want to have a freedom, you should live with everyone should coexist. Lion has to be there, zebra has to be there, snake has to be there, deer has to be there. In any ecosystem, the good and combination is there. Then only you have to coexist. That is the attribute which the human being should possess. If you want everyone of the same nature, then you are either in a zoo or you are in a mental hospital. In that enclosure only, everyone of the same character will be there. In rest of the places, everything has to coexist. So some villain will be there, comedian will be there, some friend will be there, from foe will be there, everything has to be there. So that is one of the graduate attributes which we try to teach the students is individual and the teamwork. Then comes communication. They clearly told only communication. They never told written communication or verbal communication or gesture communication. They not told. Sometimes you should know how to gesture because this had a problem in during my there was a staff in the civil and materials engineering laboratory. Whenever he asked Jay, they call me Jay. Jay, are you come this thing? Then I said okay. Then one day he got irritated. He told Jay, you are always confusing character. I said, why you're Douglas? You are telling like that because the S is always like this. No means like this. This is in our country. Whenever I ask any question, you say or you rotate your head 360-degree. It is very difficult for me to decode whether it's yes or no. You remember? That is also communication. Communication should not focus only on written communication or verbal communication or spoken this thing. It has to be also on your gestures, in your movement, facial grimace. That is the reason we do FIRO analysis, everything in academic leadership programs, where we teach the people how you have to have a resilience of your emotions. How we have to make a resilience of your emotions, how we have to make it. So that is a communication. Then comes the project management and finance. So any engineers, now we talk in terms of engineering economics, finance, because they are good, but everyone has to be startup, entrepreneurship. When they want to have a startup and entrepreneurship, it is not the question of how starting the business, but it's also how sustaining the business, how you are tolerating the failures also. And the last one is lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. These are the 12 graduate attributes which are going to structure your program outcomes, which are going to structure your program outcomes. So you should know, you should have a knowledge. Knowledge should possess a way to solve analysis any problem. Analysis of the problem should pave the way for design and development of a solution. Design and development of a solution should also forecast investigation of complex problems. Modern tool usage. These 5 are professional, that is a technical competency which you should possess. The 7 are engineer and society, environment and sustainability, ethics, individual and teamwork, communication, project management and finance, and lifelong learning. These 12 graduate attributes contribute to the program outcomes. So what are program outcomes? The graduates will be applying the complex knowledge. If you see, NBA document clearly tells about complex engineering problem. You remember? And problem analysis, complex engineering problem. Analyze the complex engineering. Design and development of solution, complex engineering problem. Conduct investigation. Here only the complex word is missing. But modern tool usage, complex engineering activities. And engineer and society, environment and sustainability, ethics. Why all this engineering problem should have the word complex? Can't we have anything very simple? No, that is the reason you have to work. The 4-year degree program should get aligned with Washington Accord. Technician program is aligned with the Dublin Accord, Sydney Accord, Seoul Accord. There are different accords are there. Engineer means we have to focus on complex engineering problems. Why the terminology complex comes? There is an inner meaning of a complex. So what do you mean by complex engineering problem? Washington Accord clearly tells when it has any one of the above characteristics. What are the characteristics? If it possesses any one, it has what are the characteristics? It is a complex means you have to remember the current wide ranging, conflicting technical issues, having no obvious solution, addressing problems not encompassed by current standards and codes, involving diverse group of stakeholders, including many component parts and sub-problems, involving multidisciplines, having significant consequence in the range of a context. If only one of the above characteristics is needed, then it could be declared as a complex. Not all, anyone. Wide range, obviously complex. No obvious solution, complex. Not by standards, complex. Multiple discipline, complex. Diverse group of stakeholders, complex. This is the reason behind the word complex, that you have to know why it has to be complex. The accreditation committee clearly defined the term complex activity, broadly defined activity, and well-defined activity. There is a very, very subtle difference between complex, broadly, and well-defined. So you should know where it is called well-defined, where it is called broadly defined, where it is called complex design. So engineering knowledge, it is very, very important. For example, Machapichu. So they know it is a terrain, the water is going to fall very quickly because the slope is steep. So rainfall is less. How we have to make? So this is engineering knowledge. So they made us types and they made, because the knowledge is now what we call engineering, we call. Previously our people, Tanjai temple, it is an engineering marvel. Even though the term engineers was not there, it is there. If you go to the Arab temples, all the temples, the architectures you see, it is entirely differently structured. We have to accept it. These are all engineering problem. Engineering problem, it is very well structured concepts, engineering problems. Investigation on complex problem. For example, Carrier, AC. Carrier, he is a father of engineering because he had a problem. I will tell you. Burj Khalifa, this is one of our research scholars working on it. So where we call it as a analysis of the problem. Their land is a problem. They have to make a man-made island. When they make a man-made island, how far they can go for it? What is the height of the building? How it has to be made into unique? So how the structures have been made? 150, 65 tons, 85 meters tall. You know, a similar structure only they fallen in Delhi airport one. So you have to remember. And the problem analysis, how it works. The railway lines in the Russia, during a winter time, extreme winter and cold, the railway lines are getting this thing problem, curve. So it creates a problem. Tilted building, expansive soil. So these are all problems which I have to address it. How I have to make it retrofitting, how I have to make a solution to it. That is the approach. The cracks, everything. So design and development of a solution, permafast. This a problem was there, permafast, how I have to make it, how I have to operate it. That is the approach, what approach I should have it, what approach I should have it. That is very, very important. Solution, what sort of the building strategies, the railway lines, how the Tibetan railway lines have been solved. So permafast they made it, and accordingly the railway line problem has been solved. Saudi Arabia, Gulf Bay, how they solved it. Global warming, earthquakes, storms, and height of waves. So the Palm Island, why the island has to be there? If you see the Chennai, there will be erosion, sea erosion in Rayapuram side. But what they for? Because this Rayapuram erosion is caused because of Chennai airport. Chennai airport is a man-made airport. Because of the alignment change, it resulted in the attrition in the sea erosion started coming. So they were making a Palm Island with not completely curved, and how they made it. When the different water is there, how when they get into it, how the temperature changes has been accommodated. So for that they use the modern tool usage. They use analysis software, water circulation in the Palm Island. They use different modeling softwares. They presumed when the temperature is increasing, which part of the this thing will be more, and where the cold part will come. Because you remember, they cannot do everything with this thing. Modern tool usage, they adopted. Modern tool usage, they adopted it. So engineer and society, for example, among these three, one of the famous engineer is available. Because as an engineer, I should not do it for anything for my selfish purpose. It has to be for societal purpose. Among these three, the person who is there is Osama bin Laden. He is an engineer, but he made a disaster to the society as per the records. But I'm not having any personal views, but it is as per the records. And engineer and society, Shepard Barron, he made a tremendous transformation to the society. What he did, tremendous transformation? He was going with his granddaughter with this store in 1967. He wants to purchase the candy. Different candies were there. If you put the coin, this you could have observed in most of the restaurants and petrol bunks in the US, where you can see, where you can put the coin and you can number of this thing comes. Like a vending machine. Nowadays, vending machine is there. Previous, olden days vending machine, 10 years, 15 years before when we were this, it will be that in most of the places. If you want the gems, M&Ms or tidbits or everything. So we use this concept and he made into our own ATMs. ATM is invented by this person. So this is, he made the ATM. Fritz Haber. Everyone knows he is a Nobel laureate in chemistry, 1918. He is a person who identified ammonia fixation, that is nitrogen fixation, ammonia, fertilizer. It was a good, he invented. But what it resulted, the same Fritz Haber is a reason for making a chemical warfare, a Nazi war, use of chlorine gas, World War I. He made several people died. But he is a technologist, but as a technical societal knowledge, environment and sustainability. Palm Island, because when they do it, when island one part becomes a warmer and it should not affect the remaining part. That is the reason Supreme Court has given a judgment. Environment science subject has to be mandatory in the curriculum. But how we have to make it mandatory? But nowadays environment science has been coupled with sustainability. But unfortunately or fortunately in engineering colleges, what we'll do, we'll ask the chemistry teacher to handle environment and sustainability. You ask the reason, they tell because the chemistry teacher doesn't have any workload. That is the reason we are asking chemistry teacher to teach the subjects they tell. That is a pathetic situation of our country. So ethics, applying ethics principle to commit and responsibilities. For example, Ford Pinto, everyone knows, because if you see my research methodology online course, I use a case study of an inventor, movie inventor, the flash of genius. In that how Ford has made a complete research methodology in IPR course, we would have structured using the movie of Flash of Genius. So similarly, you can see the Ford Pinto car was there and it was in the market and suddenly there was some fires, explosive were there and the people are dying. But internal document of a Ford, what they did, there were only 180 burns were there based on the calculation. So they observed if they try to repay the amount, only 9.5 billion has been accrued. But if the car which all in the market, if they call back and if they change the parts, it will cost them 137.5 million. So that is the reason they kept quiet. They made, but this is one of the very famous lawsuit, and finally the Ford has lost huge amount they lost it. And as an individual, I cannot exist. I have to work as a teamwork. Communication for a joke manner, I will tell you a story. There was a memo from CEO to a manager. So what was the memo he has given? Today at 11 o'clock, there will be a total eclipse of the sun, where the sun disappears behind the moon for 2 minutes. As this is something that cannot be seen every day, time will be allowed for the employees to view the eclipse in the parking lot. Staff should meet at lot at 10 to 11. When I deliver a short speech introducing the eclipse and giving some background information, safety goggles will be made available at a small cost. This is the memo from CEO to manager. In turn, manager gives a memo to the department head based on the information what he received from the CEO. He tells, today at 10 to 11, all staff should meet in the car park. This will be followed by a total eclipse of the sun, which will appear for 2 minutes. For a moderate cost, this will be made safety with the goggles. The CEO will deliver a short speech beforehand to give some useful information. This is not something that can be seen every day. This is the memo. The department head gives memo to the floor manager. CEO will deliver a short speech to make the sun disappear for 2 minutes in the form of an eclipse. This cannot be seen every day, so the staff will meet in the car park at 10 or 11. It was 10 to 11. It became 10 or 11. This will be safe if you pay a moderate cost. The floor manager in turn tells the supervisor, 10 or 11 staff go to the car park, where the CEO will eclipse the sun for 2 minutes. This does not happen every day. It will be safe and as usual, it will cost you. The supervisor in turn tells to the staff, some staff will go to the car park today to see CEO disappear. It is pity that doesn't happen every day. You remember, this is the way the communication has been distorted. As engineers, even the less mortal among us should have a clarity of what we deliver and what we wish to convey to the end users, automatically communication plays an important role. When we go for an accreditation, for example, I go for NABL accreditation, where I see how you prepare a laboratory reports, test reports. I also observe how you are reporting the units, how you are reporting the decimals. Literally, our codal provisions are very strongly structured. It clearly tells. For example, if you say I am a civil engineer, if you see 2720 for soil mechanics or 3025 for environmental and water. So if you observe, the units have been clear. Reporting in a plastic limit should be on whole number. It should not be on decimal, because why we are expecting you to deliver in whole number is then only the measurement uncertainty calculation we will try to make it. Measurement uncertainty calculation we try to make it. Measurement uncertainty calculation. So that matters a lot. So lifelong learning. So the 12 graduate attributes are engineering knowledge, problem analysis, design and development of solution, complex problems, modern tool usage, and then engineer and society, environment and sustainability. Then you have to remember ethics, individual and teamwork, communication, project management and finance, and lifelong learning. See, these are the 12 graduate attributes. Connecting CEOs with PEOs and PSOs are very, very important. CEOs, your people might, someone would have taught you how to develop a CEOs. That is itself a 3-hour lecture. So we call 6 graduate, 6 levels are there. There are 2 dimensions it is there. One we call it as a cognitive dimension. Second we call it as a knowledge dimension. In cognitive dimension, we have a 6th level. Remember, understand, apply, analysis, evaluate, and create. And in the knowledge dimension, we have 4 knowledge: factual knowledge, procedural knowledge, conceptual knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. So how this mapping makes, that is a 2 by 2 matrix. That is what we call it as a modified Bloom's taxonomy. Remember, you should understand, you should apply, you should analyze, you should evaluate. But by the terminology, you should not try to decode it. So for example, analysis of a beams doesn't mean that we are teaching the students how to do the analysis. In assessment, we are testing whether students understood how to do the analysis of the beams. We are only checking understanding ability, not the analysis ability. To put it in a simple manner, if I ask you a question or whether you have seen a rainbow, the people will say yes. What are the different colors in rainbow? When I ask, immediately you guys will tell VIBGR. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. This is what we call it as a remember level. In remember level, there are 2 different categories: inside out and outside. These are all not I'm going, I'm just skipping. But just you should remember all these parts, because when your fundamental is strong, when the clarity in thought process is there, then it will be very good to conceptualize the abstract concepts. That way you have to remember. So remember. So you remember what are the different colors in the rainbow. Understand why we kept VIBGR, violet, indigo, blue. You will tell, okay, these are all wavelengths, sir. Wavelength ho gaya. So violet aa gaya plus, because and red is a wavelength which is there. So you might have this based on the wavelength. That is understanding. Where it has been applied, when I ask, everyone will tell immediately different examples. One such classical example is traffic signals. Red in the top, yellow in the second, and green in the bottom, because of the wavelength concept. When you're doing for the first time, it becomes application. When you're doing for the second time, it becoming today's invention will be tomorrow's understanding. You remember, in undergraduate level, the predominant focus or level which you focus is application analysis. Beyond that, you cannot go anything other than the final year capstone project. In the content delivery, we can focus maximum up to application, which will turn make them to do analysis and create in their project work or dissertation work. You should have a clarity. Simply putting evaluate, create in the theory courses, it is really, really absurd, because it shows that they never read the Bloom's original book. If you want, I will give a copy of it. It's Amazon. It's also, it is selling 4,000 or 3,000, something. They think it's worth investment, sir. It's a worth investment which you should know. So we should have a clarity of the content. So majority of the courses doesn't address. Okay. But you should remember, undergraduate level what is what, postgraduate level why, and PhD is why not. That is the hierarchy which we work on it. So now let us quickly look into courses of POs. Engineering knowledge, it is only addressed strongly with POs. And PO2, PO3 will address with most of the courses because problem analysis, design development, conduct. These are all addressed in all. If you are having a software tools in it, modern tool usage will be there. If your software component is not there, the modern tool usage will not be there. It is not the question of software alone, it is the question of any application of any tool. You are doing a T square. From T square, you went to a different mini drafter. So different because now you went to AutoCAD. So it is any tool which you are presuming which is going to be used. So, but hardly any courses will apply in the complex engineering problem. But for example, engineering and society, environment and sustainability, ethics, individual team or communication, project management, some specific goals. But you have to remember the engineer and society, lifelong learning will not be addressed in predominant courses unless the course has a scope for lifelong learning. Sometimes I have seen some colleges, they put lifelong learning in all the components. That is not correct, sir. That is wrong approach, which we should not have it, That is the approach. So basically, if you see in hierarchy, a core courses, electives, engineering. But you have to remember when COPO mapping, when we discuss, we do only for core subjects, not for elective subjects. You have to remember. Even in NBA, we never ask for elective because elective is not taken by all the students. Only few has taken the elective. Some electives will be of higher order. The students of that level only they would have taken it. You remember, but unfortunately, in India, the prerequisites are not followed appropriately, sir. I have observed because in US, if you want to do a basic structural analysis, the prerequisite is engineering mechanics, but structures paper. But in India, what is there? In engineering mechanics, he would have attended, registered, he might have attended and he might have appeared for exam, he might have failed. In spite of that, he will be allowed to join for a structural analysis. In US, it is very, very strict, especially in University of Pune, where unless you finish engineering mechanics, you cannot attend a structural analysis. Very clear, they are very clear in it. The reason is engineering mechanics is a prerequisite. Prerequisite means you should possess minimum knowledge to attend for the structural analysis. But sitting in a class or enrolling in a class doesn't mean that you possess a minimum knowledge. The minimum knowledge is ensured only when you pass the assessment with the 50% weightage or whatever the weightage which the committee has declared it. So that is engineering knowledge. So that is where. So prerequisite. So electives are generally not considered for the COPO mapping. We consider COPO mapping only with the core courses. So that is the first number one. So let us focus quickly on some examples which we have taken it from where because we go for assessment, we go. Okay, the course outcome. Okay, let's see. So disaster management is the course. Outcome has been defined. So let us have a lesson plan, proper lesson plan. Lesson plan should have. You remember if the course content is, if your content covers 40% of the particular PO, then PO is 3. If 25 to 40%, then PO level is 2. If 5 to 20%, then PO level is 1. If the 5% is then PO is not considered under. So this I would have taken with the disaster. For example, that you define and use the terminology of disaster management parlance and organize each term. So this is the PO2 maps awareness. PO2 is the analysis of the problem. PO6 is the modern tool, engineer and society. Help student societal help. Awareness of student terms and everything, community and society. It is a communication and will help the students in lifelong learning in the broadcast, PO12. So this is the first unit, CO1. And this CO1 may be this 9 hours. In 9 hours, that will be 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, and 2 hours it is covered. So 6 plus 3, 9 hours. So similarly, you have to see for everything. Based on that, how many hours you focus. If you cover for this attribute for more than 40% of the hours, then by default you can call it as weightage 3. If you cover 25 to 40% of your time period for particular PO, you can call a weightage as 2. 5 to 25% you can call weightage as 1. And if it is less than 5%, the weightage is 0. No problem. It is depending upon you, your way. Because sometimes randomly I observed engineering college, arbitrarily they do. But there are some universities. We have conducted massive workshop for university in Mysore, a very famous college. 5 days only on COPO mapping. Only 5 days only on COPO mapping. And they got 6 years accreditation in NBA. and they have been become a model institute because they, whenever they went to other states like Rajasthan, took under mentoring scheme to teach other institute how to do COPO. But luckily they invited us also. We also went to Udaipur and different places. The reason is, you should, if you are strong in COPO mapping, then attainment calculation you will be very strong, sir. It is very simple logic, but unfortunately, we never invest time in, because simply we randomly will put inky, pinky, punky, father and a donkey. Okay, we put a 2, 3, 2, 1, 1. But there are some rational behind it. If you put according to the rational, so that it conveys the things in a perfect manner. Conveys the things in a perfect manner. To 5 to 25 percentage, 40 percentage, more than that. It is 5 to 25. It is 25 to 40 percentage. So according, these are the terms which never cover. So it is a blank. So accordingly, you can make it, and you have to make it. So the session of theory and laboratory, 40 hours and 28 hours, and accordingly we'll do the calculation. 12 of 68, 18% is covered, 18% is nothing but it is 25 to 40%. This weightage is 2. So luckily you will make accordingly. We'll make 1, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1. So accordingly we'll make it. So 5 to 25%, 16%, less than 5%. It depends. It depends upon your own wish. You have to make this PO mapping, CO mapping, and PSO mapping. We have to make it. PO, PSO, and CO. And examination, attainment calculation, you made a strength, then you should know how you test attain. Accordingly, I should have an assessment matrix. Assessment, you have a different assessment pattern. You can create your own assessment pattern and you can work on it, sir. You can work 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. The average of 3 is 2.8, 2.8, 2.2, everything you have calculated. And PSO, because it's going to be 11:30, because in initial time I invested in explaining of the fundamentals. That is the reason I'm skipping very fast. But I will try to, if you have any doubts or any question, you can always ask me, sir. I will be happy to do it. Okay. So attainment, for example, you can have attainment in terms of a course outcome, you can have, or in terms of mapping, anything you can keep it. If it is 80% level 3, you can have a condition. So you can keep assignment pattern. Either I will tell you the final matrix, either internal assessment or assignment. Internal test alone it is taken. Direct assignment is 60% weight of the Anna University and 40% of the internal assessment. You can keep it any format. You can keep any format of, but whatever the format you keep it, you have to justify it, sir. NBA never tells this is the format you have to follow. Our accreditation committee never tells. It is like our own accreditation is your own. It's a voluntary action, and it is not a fault finding mechanism. It's a fact finding mechanism. It's a fact finding mechanism. We always call it. And if you observe this as such, if you take into consideration, the items, whatever you take it, you have to use it appropriately. It has to be finalized by your peer committee. The committee should tell this is the assessment pattern you should have. This is the weightage we should possess. This is the mark which should have. Everything you will be defining and you will be having. Whatever you define, it should be there in your quality manner. That is very, very simple, sir. So that's the way the things work out and that's the way we operate it. So whatever you keep a methodology, I will tell one example, quick example I will tell it. And you take any pattern, internal assignment, tutorial, seminar, quiz, whatever be the format, sir, you adjust format. This is one of the format which one of the very famous colleges is. Velammal also has a similar format, I think. So they have an internal test, any combination you keep it. But whatever the combination you decide, you should have a backup paper. When you follow the rule of the game, you should know why you are following the rule of the game, sir. Suppose in India, I travel in left hand side. In US, if I go, I will travel on right hand side. But I should know the reason behind why I have to travel on left hand side. Why I should travel there on right hand side. Because without knowing the reason, simply I follow blindly, then it is not going to create an impact. Because I should know why I have to follow and what is the reason behind it to follow. Because that creates a bigger impact and bigger value to it. That is a very, very important aspect, sir. So let me take students which have an internal weightage of 10 and 20. I will take a very simple example. And he has a mid-semester weightage of the CO weightage is been given. Assignment mark has been given. And end semester mark has been given. So I have a one simple example. I used to always have it with a class of 4, 5, 10 students, which I will try to cover it. Okay. Let me take this example. So let us take, I have a 2 in mid-semester examination, average of 20 marks. 2 assignments I cover 10 marks each. The case studies and quizzes I give 5 marks. So the internal assessment is 35 marks I am giving it. Let us assume 65 marks goes to the end semester. Let us assume it. We are assuming internal assessment session test is 35 marks. 20 mark 2 mid-semester, 2 assignments average is 10 mark and case study. So let us assume I have a 5 COs in my course. In Anna University syllabus, we have 5 COs for each courses. So the mark allocated for each CO, will be 35 divided by 5 unit will be each CO will have a 7 mark. Each CO. Because if you see Anna University syllabus very easily structured, 9 hours. Each 9 unit, 20 mark, they would have kept 100 marks it will come. But internal mark weightage, if you observe, this is the pattern which I have 2 mid-semester mark weighted 20, 2 assignment 10 marks, case studies 5 mark. So I will have a 5 CO, so obviously 35 by 5, 7 mark. Let us take 5 students. So weightage for 7 COs. The mark allocated in the mid-semester for CO is 4 and the assignment is 3. So weightage for COs, each CO is 7. So if you observe, this is 7 mark for each CO. And I am giving a mark weightage of 4 for a mid exam and 3 for a final assignment. Okay, let me take the students. Let me take 6 students are there in my class. In mid semester mark, each student, let us assume mid semester mark 11, assignment 5 and 10 mark I took it. So this is the weightage. 35 mark is the weightage, maximum mark. In midterm 1, what I took. Midterm 1, each student, how much they got. Assignment, how much I got. And so CO attainment percentage, how much it is there. 11 by the first student into 4. Because I have given the equation very clearly. So into 4 divided by the total mark, 15. Because weightage is for this thing is 4. Weightage is 4 for midterm. And for assignment plus quizzes, 3 is the weightage. So 4 into 4 is the weightage divided by the total mark 15. Assignment 5 plus 5, 10. Weightage is 3 divided by the total mark. Divided by the total percentage, 7. Because 5 COs, total weightage is 35%, 7. So 85% is the student attainment percentage with respect to the first student. Student attainment is with respect to the first 85. 85 you got. Similarly, if you observe, 85 you got. Similarly, in CO, student 2 mark. 2 into 4 divided by 15. 10 into 3 divided by 10. And obviously divided by 7 into 100. So I got a weightage of 50%. Similarly, 96, 100. Because if you see the third student, 15 out of 50, 10. He will be, fourth student will be 100%. Fifth student will be 100. So I made a mistake here. It is 100. It should be 100. Actually, it should be 100. And seventh student is 973. So CO2 accordingly for similar to CO1 what we calculated, CO2, CO3, CO4, CO5. Because in affiliating system, even though NEP 2020 implemented up to 2035 affiliating college system will be there. After 2035 only the affiliating college system will get vanished. So in such situation you have to remember what are the ways which you have to operate in, how it has to be taken into consideration. So if you observe the content, obviously, we have to look at it, what are the ways and means which has been taken into consideration. So these are the CO weightage mark and number. So number of people, we assume the people who are all got more than 50%, I think they are qualified because that's also given by the internal committee member. So there are 6 sub-COs. So everyone got more than 50, so all are attained. And here in CO2, 1% and 2%, 3% are not attained, whereas 3 is attained. And CO3, only 1%, so 5 is attained. CO4, only 1%, so 5 is attained. In CO5, it is 1 and 2 has gone, 4 has attained. Okay. So this is the number of students who have attained. So we have the attainment and the total is 6 by 6 total students into 100%. 3 by 6 into total students is 6 into 3 out of 6, 50%. So each CO attainment is This is the CO table. CO1 is 100%, 50%, 83%, 83%, and 67%. And based on that, we will calculate the seawater. This is the way the seawater calculation has been made. So this several Excel sheets are available, sir. Tremendously, Excel sheets are available, and you can make use of it. Even we used to have some Excel sheets. The people used, because when you go for conduct a workshop at NETR, so we, depending upon the coordinator also, I'm telling, because last time one of the coordinator he told, sir, based on yours I came, but here they didn't give Excel sheet. He was asking, but he went to the subway. All subways will produce, but some subways will have a veggie patty, some subway will not have a veggie patty. It depends upon the subway which you are going. So, but it doesn't mandatory every subway should have a veggie patty. So that's the way it operates. So it depends upon the type and the group and how accordingly it has to be operated, or accordingly it has to be handled. So that matters a lot. That is the way the system works. That's the way the system works. So similarly, PO calculation, PSO calculation, we have given 10. 10 is the weightage, we have given 10 mark, and this is a 40 mark, 65 mark, because this is attainment calculation. So we have to see how the attainment calculation will be there for PO. So PO calculation also, similar manner, how the attainment level, because it could be 4 level or 3 level or 2 level, it all depends upon your IQAC cell. Your IQAC cell defines what you have to do it and how we have to do it. So you can give overall attainment percentage from direct 80 and indirect 20 also. You can give it. It all depends upon your own survey, employer, because it's a program outcome. Whether the communication is good, you can cross check with the internship office. You can cross check with all other organizations where they are affiliated. How their co-curricular activities, the co-curricular activity in laboratory, they make it how the teamwork is there. How their extracurricular activities, their extracurricular activity has been defined, it defines their teamwork, its communication, it is the project management, environmental, because how the extracurricular activity plays an important role, how the extracurricular activity plays an important role. So it all depends upon the content, what they do and how they implement it, sir. What they do and how it get implemented. That matters a lot. So you can have a weightage of 80, 40, 20 or 40. It depends. 30 also you can have, 25 also. There is no hard and fast rule. As I told you, in accreditation, you are the person who are defining your standards, and you are ensuring this is your quality manual. Based on the quality manual you are suggesting, I am following this process. So you have to be very clear in defining what is the quality which you are going to operate it. That matters a lot, and accordingly that will this thing. So let us assume in CO assignment I is 3, medium is 2, low is 1, and very high. Because how this CO 201 is I, or 302 is I, that we have to see. The course attainment, we might have got it. You remember this course attainment, the previous subjects, this is subject. For one subject, I calculated the attainment. In this attainment, based on the attainment, I came to know that they are this attainment level. I am coming to know that it is a 1 or 2. The attained level is 3 or 4 or 5. I have brought it. So each course I know finally it is 3, it is 2, it is 1 and 3. I know. So based on that, I have to make an assumption. This is all connected with one PO. You remember previously we made one PO-CO mapping. PO-CO mapping, we might have made a complete complex matrix. So we might have made one CO-PO mapping. Okay. These are the subjects. Each subject has a CO-PO mapping. You remember? This subject has 3, 3, 3, 2. So these are all the subjects where the PO1 is assigned. PO2 is assigned. Some POs may not be there. For example, in this CO101, PO11 is not there. Only 106 it is there, and 2 is there. So, but each CO final attainment you have, whether it is high or low or medium, 3, 1, 2, you might have had the calculation. You might have taken the calculation, which you might have got. So for this PO1, there are some courses which will get mapped. So those courses, what is the attainment you have obtained? What is the attainment you have obtained? You should know what is the attainment you have obtained. So course attainment in CO. So what is the attainment we have obtained? So that we should know. So attainment. So 3 to, let us assume POX. POX contains this 4 CO. So that is 9 by 4, 2.25. So we are presuming, and survey indirect assessment, we are assuming the level as 2. So 80% internal direct assessment, 20% is the extra assessment. So internal assessment is 2.25 into 80.8. It is assumed level is 2 indirect assessment. So 0.2 of 2. So it is totally it is 2.2. So in the level we are keeping it 1 is very low, 2 is low, 3 is medium, 4 is high, and 5 is very high. So this is what the calculation we have. So our 2.2 comes in between low and medium. So because we achieved 2.2, it comes into low and medium. So accordingly we can achieve, we have achieved medium level, or you can scale up accordingly to the 5 scales. So this is the way the PO attainment is calculated. So there are standardized Excel sheets are available, which could be used for making, because for example, I would have used it for Pune College. So where the entire students of VC branch. So these are all some, I should have not given the name. We went for accreditation. I taken from the record. So when we did, this is the grade they got. This is a mark they got out of 75. So then we see how many average is 85. More than 55 is the weightage they given. If the students score 55%, then they give a full mark. So what we did, 100% of the students are more than 55%. So the attainment level is 3. And similarly, the 100% of the 80% are attainment more than 5. So it is level 3. So accordingly, we will make it. So based on this calculation only, we made the calculation of this table and see what happens. There are two approaches are there. 60% of the students score more than a final attainment level 1. 70% of the students score more than a board average, it is level 2. 80% of the students score more than a board average, it's level 3. Either you can follow this approach or you can follow this approach. So both approaches are one and the same. It depends upon your own convenience, your own students of the mark of the students. Accordingly, we will operate. Accordingly, we will be operating it, and accordingly, we will be engaging the students. Once the COPU attainment is done, it shows if you are not performing as per your ambition. So what are the corrective measures which you are taking in, which you are going to reflect in the respective criteria number 7. So we are telling these are the actions which I have planned it, but these are the things which the students are not performed, because the score, the target, what I am going to keep it based on my higher secondary mark. What we call it as a predictive validity. We call it as a predictive validity because we presume if the students take maths, physics, chemistry, they will perform good in engineering. If they take physics, chemistry, biology course, they will perform good in medical. So this we call it as a predictive validity. There are 4 different types of validities: content validity, construct validity, concurrent validity, and predictive validity. Predictive validity, based on this one score, I believe they will be performing good in other subjects. That is what we call predictive validity. Similarly, I presumed the students from higher secondary, this is my average entry mark. So I presumed the civil students will perform good and computer students will perform good. I kept a weightage of 60% and 70%. But their performance will be extraordinary or their performance will be less also. Which, based on the COPU attainment, we will be following our corrective actions. Corrective actions plays an important role. Accordingly, we will be operating the corrective actions. Accordingly, we will be operating the corrective actions. Accordingly, we will be operating the corrective actions, and how it has to be operated, we will focus. That is one which we will look into it, sir. Because the corrective action depends upon how the score target we are keeping, how this target is calculated into different proportions. That is what the corrective actions. So based on that, we will be working on it and we will be determining whether the course is attained or not, and accordingly the attainment level, what we did, we will calculate. So with this, I will just end the session, so that if you have any questions or any doubt, you can always ask me. So I will be happy to answer your queries. You have this thing, so I can go this thing. I can go to the. So if you have any questions or any doubt, you can ask me. And this is my contact details. Anytime you can contact me if you have any queries. I'll be happy to answer it. And over to the participants, please. Thank you very much for your prayerful listening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. First of all, my sincere thanks to the Almighty God for going to make the FDP on outcome-based education a resounding success. I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the Honorable Chairman, Sri M.V. Muthuraman Sir, Principal P. Ali Ma'am, and HOD of MBE, Dr. Selvalakshmi Ma'am, and Dean Academics and HOD of EEE, Dr. Sanmugalata Ma'am, and all the faculty members and participants for making this session a success. I'm thankful to the resource person for accepting our request to be the speaker of this program. And once again, thank you, sir, for your session was very interactive and informative session about COPO attainment in OBE. And I hope that all the participants gathered much knowledge in this topic today. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. All the participants are requested to join the next session sharply at 11:45.
Ma'am, one second. If any, if the session is over for Q&A. If any, like, if any participants, if you want to have any kind of an question and answers, you can please post it. If you have any queries, please post it.
Yeah, hi, good morning. My name is Mohit Kapil and I'm from Faridabad, Haryana. The Dr. Janardar has given, the sir has given the very enlightening session. It was really very informative. This is a very complex, what do we call that? The calculation behind the CO and PO attainment. Though the examples which has been quoted by Dr. Janardar was, very much informative. So, sir, can you please suggest how to get the entire information related to COPO mapping, and would there be any, is there any source to get this sample Excel to calculate? To have the calculation of COPO mapping.
The sample Excel sheet, maybe we have one sample Excel sheet. I will send it to Selva Lakshmi Madam. That is your coordinator of the FTP. She can share it to you. And this presentation, this part, the learning part, I will share it with her. So you can take it from her. Because the simple calculation with 6 students, what I did, it will be because this is there for several years. Even my YouTube videos will be there where we have given about how the OBE calculation need to be there. And for new criteria also, we are delivering Excel. So I can give it, not a big issue. As you told correctly, calculating the thing, there are some softwares, the in-house softwares, because for example, I went to some Mysore, some computer science professors, they developed with their students some softwares in-house. You can make it, it's normal Excel in the form of a template, you can make it with macros and you can create it more itself. No problem. If you have any queries, you can ask me, I can share the Excel sheet to the madam. I will share it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So it's a great pleasure having you over here, sir. I request all the participants to switch on a camera for a photo session. We'll just quickly take a photo.
Indirect assessment, if you see, it is not mandatory. If you want, you can have it. Because as I told you, the predominant COPO attainment is going to revolve around 1 to 5 POs. But deeper, communication, environment and sustainability, those things I cannot measure it from my subject knowledge. I might possess some extracurricular activity. I might participate in Engineers Without Borders or some Swachhata activity of the campus, extracurricular activity or co-curricular activity, when I go with, because that's the way in National Credit Framework, if you see my recent lecture, I would have told, the learning, we call it as a notional learning hours. Previously, 1 credit is equal to 15 contact hours of faculty members. Nowadays, it is not contact hours. Learning is not going to take place only in the institution alone. It is going to take place beyond the classroom also, beyond boundaries also. So that is the way. So we call it as a notional learning hours. 1,200 hours per year. If you finish it, you have a 40 credits. If you have 4 into 40, it is 160 credits for your BTech degree. Nowadays, it's all credits and it is number of hours you invest. It is not the hours of what you sit in the classroom that will give you the credits. It is beyond. For example, experiential learning also now credit is given. 45 hours of experiential learning or reflective learning will fetch you 1 credit. So now for Board of Apprenticeship Training, we did a document where for a polytechnic and engineering college, most of them will be knowing, if you are a polytechnic students or engineering college students, after your graduation, you can enroll in NAT scheme, NAT Government of India scheme, apprenticeship scheme. You can enroll and you can work in any organization because a part of the money will be given from the Ministry of Education board and a part of the money will be given by the company. In our institute, several apprentices will be working. It's a 1-year post. It's not a permanent post, it's apprenticeship. Previously, when they work apprenticeship, they will be getting only money as a component. But nowadays, the government told what they are going to do with 7,500 and 10,000. Even if they go for a Swiggy driver, they will get more than 20, 30,000. It has to be some creditized, it should be in some different manner. So now we are having a credit which will fetch them a certificate. How in terms of a communication, how in terms of a teamwork they exhibited during their internship, that is apprenticeship, how they were employing the skill sets. So we are making some matrix which will be given in the form of a certificate. As you all our Nether has become a deemed to be university, and ministry has, we are giving a first university in the country to give a degree based on credits, creditization in the sense you attend some training program at Nether. This will be accumulated as a credit. You can redeem the credit like a credit card. If you swipe in petrol bunk, you will get some money. If you swipe it in a grocery store, you will get a different money. But if you pay insurance, you will not get any money. So based on the swiping concepts, you can creditize some credits, and based on the credit, if you earn 20 credits, you can go with the PG certificate. If you earn 40 credits, you can go with the PG diploma. If you get 80 credits, you can go with the MTech degree. And this is credits will be valid for 7 years. 7 years. Suppose you got enrolled in intern. You started doing it credits. After 40 credits, you got married. Maybe your husband is in foreign or your wife is in foreign. Let it be any case nowadays it's happened. So when they are there, you want to go to the different state or different foreign country. 2 years, 3 years, you are there, coming back. But already you have a PG diploma. You can do some add-on courses and recognize peer learning courses. You can tag that certificate, and with 1 year you can get a PG degree. So with different concepts of multiple entry and multiple exit. So we launched several programs. Ministry is happy, and fractal mode we are offering the course. It is not a regular mode. You can just explore it. And I just thank everyone. I thank the organizer for giving an opportunity. And luckily, I was also free in the morning. So when she asked, immediately I accepted. Thank you very much, sir. Classical
Thank you,
examples.
sir. Thanks a lot for joining us last minute and like of session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Chaudhary. Chaudhary, you keep on raising your hand. Accidentally, you were raising, or you are trying a raising hand option in the Google because your hand was keep on raising. Madam, suddenly no technical error.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I lost the connection. Okay, so dear participants, we will start the next session in another 10 minutes. So please stay back. Or you, yeah, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Can we start?
So, one second, ma'am. Respected Chairman,
Okay, okay.
esteemed resource person, beloved principal, revered HODs, and cherished faculty members, good afternoon to all. Words may inspire, but action creates change. I wish to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this 5 days international online FTP on outcome based education. I feel proud to introduce our resource person, Mrs. Rina Elizabeth, to this FTP. Today, she is going to do a wonderful presentation on the topic about the process involved in OBE framework. She did her UG and PG in Madurai Kamaraj University and also completed her MPhil in Tamil Nadu Open University. She is pursuing PhD in Selenius University, UK. She is having more than 15 years of experience in teaching profession in management studies. Currently, she is working as a Director of Quality Assurance in Explains University, Malawi, Lilongwe, Mauritius. She has organized entrepreneurship awareness camp for the MBA students at the American College sponsored by Anna University, Regional Center Madurai in collaboration with National Institute of Science and Technology, New Delhi for the consecutive 3 years. She has presented 15 national and international conferences and has published 1 article in the reputed journal. She has attended 6 FDPs and 6 webinars conducted by various institutions. Once again, I am welcoming you all to this auspicious occasion and I hand over the session to our resource person, Mrs. Elizabeth Reena. Thank you all.
Thank you, madam. So, good morning, all. I'm, as madam has told the brief profile, I'm Reena Elizabeth. I have completed my MBA, MPhil, and I am doing my PhD in Selenius University, UK. So, Dr. Kumaran, I think last 10 days or 15 days before, he spoke to me regarding the faculty development program, and it was much interesting because a 5-day faculty development program in online, it is not a very easy task, and too in online, because we have now several issues. So I may also take an this opportunity to ask if there is any technical error or network issues. Please forgive me, because here the network is very bad. The climate is, we are having winter and it is 5 degrees only. So it is the network issues may occur. So please bear with me. And the topic given to me is the process of outcome based education. So I was listening yesterday's presentation and today's presentation. Most of the contents which I have prepared, the process, Dr. Jagdishan was sharing, Dr. Raja was sharing. So I was really astonished and surprised. So what am I going to share? And all the participants are like more experienced than me, and most of them are doctors. But anyway, with my little knowledge, I will share. So we'll go into the presentation. Since there is a technical error, I have requested Dr. Is to present, to help me with the presentation. Thank you, sir. So there is no
Ma'am, we
introduction
will take
needed.
our technical issues. Don't worry. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't worry, ma'am. We will take our technical issues.
Okay, madam. Thank you. So because of this presentation only, I think I have today got up very early, and here the time is 7 o'clock. So outcome based presentation, I hope there is no need for introduction. It was propounded in by the William Spady in the year 1990s itself. It was being propounded. I'll just give a brief background, and it brings the focus of the formal education, and it rather comprises of the students which learn rather they have been taught. So according to outcome based education, it is not a classroom based education, but it is what the students learn rather than what the teachers teach. So we will be teaching for hours together, But at the last, if we see that students might not grasp anything. So when we teach practically with the live examples, the students might grasp quickly. So that is what the William Spady is giving us, like outcome based education is very important. And if you see, there are 3 characteristics of outcome based education, like practical knowledge, fundamental, and reflective. So as I told you, the practical knowledge is how to do the things, and how the ability to make decisions. So if you give a practical knowledge to the students, they might gain confidence in them and they know how to make decisions. So decision making is very important, because whatever you teach in the class, when they go to the practical exposure, they might feel very difficult in order to take decisions. So that is the first important characteristics. And the second one may be the fundamentals. So we are not telling that classroom education is not good, but also it is also very important. So the student has to understand what you are going to do and why they are doing the thing. So they should understand the purpose of why they are doing. And the last characteristic is reflective. So whatever we have taught, they have to learn, adapt, and self-reflection is very important. So in a class, we may teach like O.B.E, the principles, maybe the characteristics of HRM, how HRM is being dealt. But what is ultimate is they should know how to reflect that. They should apply the knowledge appropriately and responsibility. So with this basic background, we may go to the presentation. So the O.B.E components, they addresses the major following questions. So what the basic key questions of outcome based education is, what do you want the students to have? So as a teacher, what are we going to, what is our motto? What is our aim? What is the students going to have and able to do? And how best we are going to help the student in order to achieve it? As a teacher, we have the major responsibility to achieve, to make the goals of the students to achieve. And the third component is how you know that the student has achieved that. So whether you have given the follow-up or reports, how as a teacher we are going to know. So nowadays we are having a lot of alumni meets, we are having get-togethers. So in that also we can know whether that student has achieved or not. For example, if you see, when we are studying itself, we may have a lot of aim, goals, and objectives. So when I was studying, I had a aim of being an entrepreneur. So being an entrepreneur, especially in the food industry, I want to open a restaurant. So that was my aim. But due to some other family issues and other personal issues, I have not achieved my dream. But now I have started a small, like a cloud kitchen here in Africa, and I am doing it apart from my academic work. I am also doing the passion or aim which I have. So when I go and when I go for a get together or when I go for an alumni meet, I will be proud to say that I have achieved my goal or a aim. So these 3 basic components are very important for outcome based education. So we have to find what we want the students to have and whether the students are able to do, whether they have the attitude and the caliber to do it, and how best they can achieve it, and how we will know that they have achieved. So these 3 basic components are very important for our outcome based education. So when we tell outcome based education, as we told that it is not a classroom education, but it is a learning. So if you compare the Indian education and here the African one, it is a very different one. So when I joined, I was literally suffering. So I don't know about the other countries, but this Malawi is now only they are developing country, not even developing. They are in the very they are very underdeveloped. So this generation is only the generation which is pursuing the education. So they are now only doing the undergraduation. There will not be any master's degree here. If you see, there will not be any master's degree. Mostly all will be undergraduates only. So what is lacking here is practical education is lacking. So they don't have any practical exposure. They don't have any internship training or even a what we call as industrial visits. So they are not into any practical exposure. So they don't know how to make decisions. What is the practicality of their education? So that is the major lacking of outcome-based education here. And if you see the benefits of outcome-based education, so we should offer a student-centric system. So where the teachers and the students, they collaborate and they learn together. So the learning environment should be a healthy environment. So for example, if you see, we may conduct a lot of activities like marketing fair, sales fair, food sales. So we also have a lot of like real-time experiences. We'll do case studies. We will ask the students to go and do the projects. So if, for example, if an MBA student means the first year end itself, we will be asking the student to go and do the project. So it will be based on the core topics and subjects which the student is studying. So that is the major benefit of outcome-based education. So where the teacher and the students, they collaboratively, they learn. So they don't have they participate in several outcome-based activities. So now we go to the step-by-step process of outcome-based education. The next slide, sir. So there is a step-by-step process of outcome-based education. So the first important process is institution's vision and mission. So every institution, every organization will have their vision and mission. So as per the department or as the institution as a whole, they will be having the vision and mission. So the institutions need to decide short-term goal as well as long-term goal in terms of students' learning outcome. Not only in terms of students' learning outcome, but also the personal growth, the skills development, and also the institutional overall performance. So the institution's vision and mission will be like, it will be surrounding around the students' progression. How they learn, what are all the skills required for them? Is there any training and development needed for them? So it all will aim for the progression of the students and for the institution's overall performance also. So when you are talking about the institution's vision and mission, it can be divided like the whole institution and also department wise. Like the brainstorming sessions will be there, experts will be called and they will be doing the vision and mission, and speaking, the industry will be speaking to the industry professionals and alumni also, where they can come and share their views about the industry, and they have analyzing opinions and solid plan of action also. So overall, if you take the vision and mission, is very clear that the institution needs to focus on teaching learning process. So teaching as well as learning process is also important, and every institution will be having an aim and they will be doing it under the world-class education. So every institution will be planning for a world-class education for the students only. So when we follow the steps, this is the first step. We should follow the institution's vision and mission. The second step is establishing the program educational objectives. So the last presentation I heard the program outcomes, classroom outcomes and all. So I will also deal with that. Program educational outcomes. What do you mean by program educational outcomes? We all know, we are all teachers and we are all in different fields, and we all know that program educational outcomes, it is the expected outcome of a student when they graduate. So when a student graduate, what is the expected outcome? The way they conduct the behavior, ethics and excellence in the career also. So program educational objectives, it is not only a student getting a degree, but also the whole behavior, is attitude, ethics and also how they are excelling in the career. So usually I will always tell in the class to the students, your degree is only 75%. The degree which you gain is only 75% of your career. The remaining 25% is your attitude, behavior and ethics. So that is only the program educational objectives also. So the students, mostly the way which they are conducting the behavior. And for the program educational objectives, the PEOs, there are some steps. How to establish this program educational objectives. So the first step is the institution needs to consider the vision and mission statement. So for every organization, for every institution, the first and important foremost step is they have to consider what is the vision and mission statement. So the institution will surround around the vision and mission statement only. So we have a different vision, and if we follow a different one, means it is not obtained objectives. So the first step is the institutions has to consider the vision and mission statement. Then the second step is the faculty members and the HOD should be an experienced one. So they should be able to draft and share also the vision and mission of the department. So when we are selecting the faculty members and the head of the departments, they should be an experienced and a very proactive member, because they should be able to present the department's vision and mission statement. So not only the institution vision and mission plays a major role, but also the department's vision and mission. Then they have to be implement. So the keeping the vision and mission statement in the institution everywhere in the board is not a useful one, but we have to implement the vision and mission statement. And the institution has to analyze the student's learning outcome. So analyzing the student learning outcome means it is not like this year we are analyzing and next will be 2029 or 30. No, we have to analyze it periodically. Whether there is any gap or something has to be rectified. What is the problem for the student? Why they are not why the outcome is not proper. So we have to analyze the learning outcomes properly periodically. Then only we can decide what are all the gaps and how the gaps can be rectified. If we say some of the examples of POEs are like professional development of a student, sometimes decision-making skills, creativity enhancement, problem-solving skills. These are all some of the examples of PEOs. So I hope now the PEO program education outcome is clear. Then the third step is establishing the program outcomes. So if we say the program educational objectives and the program outcomes are different. So as Dr. Jagadishan was saying, objectives and outcomes are different. So the program outcomes, what is the outcome out of the program? So it is defined as what we are achieving in that specific discipline. For example, if my discipline is HR, means what I am achieving in my discipline. So that is the outcome. What I am gaining from that program. So these attributes are also mapped when the students are doing a graduation and they are getting the degree also. So when they are getting the degree, they can be very well say that whether I have achieved my program outcomes or not. So when you are coming with the program outcomes, the program coordinator or the head of the department or the senior faculty members prepares, they are the responsible person who will be preparing the program outcomes. So the senior member in the department or the head of the department has the whole responsibility in order to prepare the program outcomes. The program coordinator, he is the person who speaks to the student about the program outcomes, about the industrial experience, industrial achievements, to understand the student requirement in the current industry. And there will be a program assessment committee to review also. So the program outcomes is designed by the program coordinator who is responsible for the whole program outcome. He is the decision making authority also. And the final decisions will be made by the advisory boards. So that is the third step, establishing the program outcomes. The fourth step is establishing the course outcomes. So program outcome is different and the course outcome is different. So the course outcome is, we all know that, for example, if the course name is English, means we have a separate course code also. Maybe English ENG 1807 or like that. So where the students must be able to understand the course code. So that is the course outcome. So the course outcomes are the objectives that are achieved by the end of the semester. So what is, for example, what is a student studying in a particular course? So if I am doing my MBA second semester, means what are all the courses am I going to study? So the outcomes will be concluded by the grades which the student achieved. Either it may be a theoretical session or a practical lesson. So for example, science subjects, they will be giving the theory and practical separately, the course. So when the student successfully completes, the students will be able to achieve, they will be able to remember, understand and apply also. So not only the course outcome talks about the remembering, understanding, application, but also they will be analyzing and evaluating. In this course outcome, there is a mapping process also. So we have to specify and obtain the course outcomes. I hope most of the professors here, we will be dealing with the course curriculum. So when we are preparing the course curriculum, what we will do is we will be seeing what are all the course outcomes. So if I study human resource management, what is my course outcome? So then I will be mapping the course outcome and program objectives. Why am I going to do this program? Then weightage of the course outcome will be given. As Dr. Jagadeesan was telling, the credit hours, what are all the credit hours for this subject. Then we will be also measuring the course outcomes. And the last one is we will be attaining what at the last am I attaining. And the course outcome is very important because a student should know what am I studying. What is the major process? So establish, next slide, sir. So we have to map. Okay. So course learning outcomes, Bloom's taxonomy for each course has to be done. So we all know that. What is Bloom's taxonomy? Can anyone just tell what is Bloom's taxonomy? Don't think that it is like a classroom session. Can anyone, Professor, can anyone tell just what is a Bloom's taxonomy? Yes. Yes. Knowledge level. Okay. So the Bloom's taxonomy, as we all very well know that, it helps the instructors to identify, classify and outline what the students are expected to learn. So we will be, when we are preparing the Bloom's taxonomy, the exams, we will be doing it in the knowledge based comprehension, application and analysis. So when we are doing the program learning objectives or course learning objectives, we will be following the Bloom's taxonomy, like knowledge, comprehension, application and analysis also. So nowadays we are framing the exam papers based on the Bloom's taxonomy only. So it should be cognitive, like mental skills, the knowledge application, and affective, the growth, emotional areas, attitude, and psychomotor manuals also. Physical skills. So these three skills are very important in a Bloom's taxonomy. So based on this Bloom's taxonomy theory only, our course objectives, program objectives, learning outcomes, everything is being made. It acts as the model. It is a model of the now the program objectives. Is the next slide. So we have to map our topics with course learning objectives, as we already saw. The course learning objectives is a very important. We should have our clear goals and objectives when we are doing the course learning objectives. And all these objectives will be based on the Bloom's taxonomy only. And if we see the National Board of Accreditation, they have mentioned the program objectives and course learning objectives. They have given a guidelines that it should follow the knowledge, problem analysis, development of the program, analysis, and we should also communicate to the students, teamwork, and communicate. Lifelong learner also is very important. So it is not like a sudden process, but it is a step-by-step process by which we learn the objectives and the program objectives. And they have the Bloom's taxonomy levels and assessment will also be done. So as I told you, nowadays we are following the assessment based on the Bloom's taxonomy only. So even if we are preparing a question exam paper, we will be asked to prepare based on the Bloom's taxonomy. And if we go the outcome based education, the steps, the process, I hope it is clear. So it is not like every process has to be followed, but based on the institution and based on the program, the steps can be selected. And it can be based on the institutional convenience also. There are some major advantages of outcome based education. Advantages of outcome based education. So the first one is, if you see the outcome-based education, OBE, it sets a clear goals and path. So the major education of OBE is that the goals and a path are very clear. Like the specific, what are all the specific skills which we are going to achieve? What is the knowledge? And how it helps you to use the effort effectively. So that is the first advantage. How we are using our skills and knowledge effectively. Then customized learning experience. So the uniqueness of the students. For example, if you take a student, maybe Ramesh or Rajesh, we will first analyze what is the knowledge he is having. What is the uniqueness of the student? Some may be unique in singing. Some may be unique in presenting a paper. Some may be unique in English strong. So we have to identify what are all the strength and weakness. What is the learning preference of the student? As a teacher, by seeing a student my 1 week or 10 days, we can very easily analyze the strength and weakness of a student. So the OBE ensures that everyone has the opportunity to succeed. And the third advantage is practical application. So whatever the relevant learning is, we have to apply it practically. So most practically, we will say in management that the real world skills or simulation training or sometimes case study. So it is how we are developing, how we are thinking, how we are solving the problem, or how effective the communication is. So how the students need to succeed beyond the school. So we are teaching for 3 years or 4 years a course, but after that, how a student practically apply and how he succeeds. That is a very most important advantage. Next is assessment for growth. So we have to say goodbye to the old exams. Nowadays, the Google exams are there, online exams. There are a lot of new, like a Google sheet is there. So there are a lot of new technologies which we are focusing. And the old one exams are being gone. We are just telling goodbye. So this means the assessments are designed not only to check what we have memorized, but also the point areas, how we can improve and grow. So in olden days, when I was studying, we used to just memorize, go and then vomit in the exam and come. But nowadays it is not like that. It is very tough for our kids to study. Not only studying, but also they have to apply the knowledge and they have to grow constantly and continuously. And if you see the next advantage, it is a student empowerment. So in outcome-based education, the students play an active role in shaping the learning journey. So not only it is education, but they have to shape. So they are like motivated in order to develop your own collaborative learning. So it is not only studying inside the classroom, but how they value the outside classroom environment is also very important. And this OBE, it is not a one-day process. It is a continuous process. It is a continuous improvement. We cannot say that OBE is a one-day process and it ends there. No. It is an idea of the fullest. So we will be continuously learning until we reach the goal. We are not stopped. So it is a striving for improvement for both teachers and students. So not only students play a major role, but also teachers. So we will be regularly assessing and also using the flexible strategies for OBE. So it keeps the journey continuously. There are some major trends. So if you see OBE, like the trend is growing. we cannot say that the OBE trend is being stopped. No, it is growing from one educators to educators. So, and it is an improving one. Next slide, sir. Trends for educators to improve OBE. So it is a future focused measurable outcomes. So we cannot say that it is a present one, but also it is focused on future. So the learning goals, it should be specific, observable and aligned with the curriculum and standards of the future. So as when we are framing a curriculum, it will be for the next 5 years or 6 years. After that only we will be measuring our curriculum and changing. So it should be future focused. And the OBE is a measurable one. And the second trend is the curriculum content and articulation structure. So the educators must design the curriculum, instruction and assessment based on the outcome. So if you see the curriculum itself, we will be having a column like outcome. So what is the outcome of this curriculum? So this will encourage when the students are seeing the curriculum and when they are joining, it will encourage the students in all areas of learning. So they also know why we are learning this course. What is the outcome of this program? What are all the roles they are playing? So they know the curriculum content. So when we are preparing the curriculum content, it should be designed in such a way that it is directly based on the outcome. And the third trend is assessment of the students' progression. So when we are doing the assessment, it involves a lot of data, like involve collecting and analyzing the data from sources such as we have lot of like assessment. In some universities or colleges, we have internal, external quiz, assignments, projects, dissertations, like some we may have different seminars. So it all based on the assessment or track of the students' progressions. So we use data in order to assess and also in order to have the students' progression, such as exams, quizzes, seminars, and how they perform. And the fourth trend is providing support and resources for the students. So not only providing support, we have to provide resources for the students in order to focus on the instructional materials. So likewise, we can provide a PPT, a Word document comprising all the materials which we are going to teach, which we are going to mentor, tutor. So the students will also be listening and they will be also following the what is the content which we are trying to teach the students. So now in Africa where I am working, what we will do is, for example, if I am going the first unit in this week means, in the starting itself we will give the learning materials for them, so that the student will be able to follow what am I teaching. So if they have any doubt, they will be coming and asking us. So providing the supporting learning materials and the resources for student, it will be very good for them in order to analyze, in order to read, and also they help the students to meet the learning goals. So the students will not come just for a time pass to the university. If you see here, these students, as I told, they are the first generation students who are learning. So they will be very serious in their studies. Even if one day, if we are not going to the class, they will be coming and asking, Madam, what happened? Why you are not coming? This and that. So in order to attain the learning goals, in order to meet the learning goals, if we provide the support and if we provide the resources for the students, it will help them in professional development also. And the next step is engage parents and guardians. So the institution should also provide information and updates about the student to the parents or guardians. They should involve the parents and guardians also when they are discussing and when they are making any decision about the student. So for example, we have in lot of institutions, we have parent teachers meeting. So I am not sure whether the universities or the colleges has, but the schools definitely they will be having. At the end of maybe the exams, quarterly, halfly, they will be having the parent teachers meeting. So that is the institution is engaging the parents or the guardians in order to know where the student is, where your ward is. So they have to know about the student's learning process. They have to discuss about the academics of the student and where they are and what they have to do. So the student will also have a monitoring towards the progressions and the assessments. And the last trend is monitor and evaluate about the impact of outcome-based education. To ensure that the outcome-based education is effective and successful, the institutions need to monitor. So when we are having outcome-based education, we have to also have a monitoring process. For every analysis, monitoring and evaluation is very important because we have to evaluate whether that process is a successful one or not. The institutions need to monitor and evaluate the impact. So when you are doing the monitoring and evaluation process, it helps you to collect and analyze the data. Whether the student learning has achieved or not, or is there any feedback from the students, feedback from the parent, teachers, and other stakeholders. So when we are doing the monitoring and evaluation process, we will be evaluating and monitoring the feedback from the student, parents, and also the stakeholders and teachers. So this information, this feedback which we get, it will be helpful in order to identify the areas of improvement. So why we are monitoring? We are monitoring in order to get the feedback so that we can identify the areas of improvement. And we can also systemize our OBE. So when we are doing OBE, it has to be monitored in order to systemize and make changes. So this outcome-based education, this is the trend which we are following nowadays. So not only we are monitoring, but we are also evaluating the process. If you see the OBE, there are types of OBE: traditional, transitional, and transformational. So the traditional method, transitional methods, and the transformational methods, they all comprise together and they have the learning outcomes as intellectual skills. So what is the learning outcome? What we have understood? What is the concept? What is the rule?